On this episode of Travels with Bill, we're in Jasper, Alberta, but this certainly isn't the video we intended to make. You see, our visit to Jasper was before the big fire in 2024, and that's what we're looking at, some raw video we shot when we were there. The question, of course, is how much of this is still left, and will Jasper ever be the same again? Well, we're going to take you for a drive here, and this part of town is actually the part that's still left. So we're going by the Via Rail train that was sitting there. We're going by the railway station, the old steam engine. We've got a video on the channel of that one. So certainly, this part of town is kind of the same. A few of these buildings have been damaged. A couple had to be torn down from the fire. But where we're going to get to right away is a part of town that was completely decimated. I've always loved Jasper. I've been here a few times, and we did a lot of filming the last time we were through. It was just at the end of COVID, so we still had a few COVID restrictions, but I wanted to show you some of the good parts of Jasper. We hadn't published any of this yet because we were still waiting to use it in future videos, but I wanted to show it to you now because sometimes the best memories of a place that's no longer there, well, are the pictures of when it was there, and it certainly looked a lot better in this video than it does today after the fire has gone through. The plan here is to show you a little bit of a drive through the town. We're in the downtown right now. We're going to be in a residential area soon. And then I'm going to take you for a little bit of a walk through Jasper too. Now, as near as I can tell, the things we walked through are probably still there. So there's a good chance you can go see them once the town gets rebuilt and is reopened. But there's a big section here, well, not so much. So we're coming in through here. This is the Athabasca Hotel on the right-hand side. It's still there, but once we turn the corner, well, that's when things are going to change a little bit. Beautiful downtown though. Look at the flowers, all the trees here, lots of benches for people to sit in. Jasper's always been, well, less people than Banff, I guess is the best way to describe it, but still a beautiful town. It's a little further north, a little more rugged and rural, I suppose. We're filming here with the GoPro on the front of the van, and I didn't take the audio out. Normally I would, but I wanted to just get that raw view of what it was when we were here, of what the sights and sounds were like. We're waiting for some people to walk by there before we get going. And we're going to go one more block here, then we're going to make a turn to the left. Pretty much as soon as we turn left, that's the beginning of where there's destruction in Jasper in this middle section. The fire came from the south and roared through a lot of this. It wasn't just the trees that burned, house after house burned. They caught each other on fire. A real mess. See that church straight ahead? That's the one you saw in photos coming out of Jasper on the first day. Let's put our car on the map here. This is the route we're going to take down the street here. You'll see this. We'll go just real time through it. We're going to take a curve right through there and then back around the other way. So most of what we're going to be seeing is going to be all destroyed now in Jasper, and then we get back into more of the downtown area with some shops that survived a little better, although you can see there was some damage and destruction down through there as well. Let's get back to the video and take that drive. So as we turn left here, we're going to be going by the Anglican Church. That's the one that they showed those pictures of it with the fire behind it, and then they showed the pictures of only the chimney still standing. Well, that's unfortunately the church. So it's gone. Now on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a couple more buildings here still exist before we get into that full destruction. Everything you're seeing on the right's already gone. After this intersection, that white house is left. Everything else you're seeing in this video has burned to the ground. There's a seniors complex on the right here, all these houses on the left. This is all gone now and turned into ashes. All that's left of it is the basements. A few of the trees may have survived, but they're in pretty bad shape too. So we're just driving through here. Now obviously we didn't know there was a fire coming when we drove this. We drove this in 2022. But we were just driving around town to get some stock footage for the videos we were going to show you later on. As it turns out, we drove through a lot of the area where the destruction was. You can see us take a turn to the left here again. Both sides still totally destroyed in this. You saw from the map the red. Anything in red is gone. As we come down here, we'll turn again. Now, some of what's going to be on the right after the turn is still there, but everything on the left was completely destroyed by fire. Make that turn now, come around here, and so now we're left is gone. The right side in these few houses, they still exist. They managed to save some of them. As we get about partway down the street though, it turns into an area that's actually burned on both sides of the street. So right in about here, we started losing the houses also on the right side of your screen. Everything through this area has burned. You can see just how fancy the houses were. These were not little shacks. These were amazing mansions and apartment buildings and places where so many people lived and in some cases worked, because a lot of businesses are gone in through here as well. So as we continue on down this again, there's a whole section where pretty much everything is lost. If you've seen the pictures coming out of Jasper, I'm not going to show them because they're kind of heartbreaking. I want to remember it for this as the good parts. So here we hit the intersection. As we go across the street here, we get into a section of town that did not burn. I'm going to take you through some of that too, just so you can see what Jasper looked like then, and it still does. So after this intersection, most of this part of the downtown was saved. There's a few spots here and there where they lost buildings, so some of this is gone, but the vast majority of this still does exist. And on that main drag we saw to begin with, most of it's still there too. We'll hop out of the vehicle here in a second. I want to take you for a walk around Jasper and show you just why it was such a magical place, and why it will be a magical place again once they're done the rebuilding process. Normally I'd spend a lot of time editing video, but I'm actually going to show you the raw video we shot in Jasper this time, because I know for a lot of people you're here looking for memories, and I don't want to cut something out that you wanted to see. So I'm actually going to show you just the stroll through the town we did. We walked around for quite a while, went into a store, and just kind of, well, we're in the area. The goal here was a really polished Jasper video to tell you why you should go to this national park, but we didn't get it edited together before the fire came. And so rather than cut, let's just go for a walk in Jasper. You can see the Athabasca Hotel in the corner there, so we're pretty close to where we were driving. This is the street we drove down a few minutes ago, and now we're just going for a walk. So a beautiful little sidewalk here. I love how they have all the flowers set out, and there's the benches. We were here when it wasn't too terribly busy. This was the middle of summer, but we were here on a weekday, I believe, if I remember right anyway. And the crowds weren't huge, so it wasn't like there was people everywhere. You certainly see that in Banff, where there's just people everywhere you look. Jasper's never been quite like that. Look at all these beautiful flowers. I believe most of what we're showing in this piece of the video is still here. I've been trying to go through the maps and figure out exactly where we walked, but we didn't have GPS on this particular camera we're using that day, so I don't have an exact map of where each of these buildings are. We know the Athabasca Hotel is still there, and I believe everything that we're seeing right now, I think pretty much everything we walk through is still in Jasper. It will be a lot different after the rebuilding, as you can imagine. The town's going to be closed for a while. The question is how long until they get all that critical infrastructure built back up, get everything safe for people to start coming in. About a third of the town disappeared. So let's head into this one. This is called Our Native Land. If you're listening close, you'll actually hear us catch crap here for filming in the back in a minute. We were wandering through, and they don't want us in the back because there's some stuff there that, well, sometimes people get really upset with the idea of animals being harvested, and so they don't want that shown on video, so they don't become some sort of flashpoint for an animal rights activist that gets really upset. So you can hear it kind of telling us we have to turn around and go back. So you see a little view of it, but mostly we're just looking at the front shop here. A lot of Jasper has shops like this, right? Souvenir places where people come in and look around. You see some postcards there and lots of people shopping, and that's just kind of how our visit was. We were doing the touristy thing. So we actually came through Hinton, and then up through Jasper. Then on that same trip filming, we came down the Icefields Parkway into Banff, stayed in Canmore, went back to Banff for a second day, and then carried on along towards home. So it was a pretty quick trip for us. The whole goal was just get some video, see it. Had some people traveling with me that hadn't seen the mountains a lot before, so they wanted to see if they liked mountains. Well, spoiler alert, they did. The mountains are pretty amazing. I know a lot of people that go to Jasper, and I think the ones that go there are generally going for that experience that's less Banff. Banff is pretty commercialized. There's certainly a lot more stores. There's a beautiful mural there. Now I think, and I just say I think, what we're looking at is still all there. There's the Jasper grocer with a cute little bear. He's kind of something that's worth taking pictures of. You see a lot of people with him. And I think this piece of town is okay. Certainly in behind us is parts that burned, but this I think is still there. Maybe this serves as a bit of view of how we film those videos too. You watch a lot of episodes on Travels with Bill, and you'll notice not a lot of them look jerky like this with us just wandering around. But you can see when you watch the video where there's a cut of something that we plan to use. Quite often we just leave the camera rolling because you never know exactly what you're going to catch, and it's a lot easier to throw out some video than it is to think, oh, I wish I had that shot I just missed. So certainly this is that raw version of it, of just walking around. And had had we done the travel video we'd intended, you would have seen this all cut together. In fact, we have a half-cut version of it, and maybe someday we'll do that anyway. But right now, probably the more important thing is just to walk through Jasper, because people across Canada, the entire world, keep thinking about this town, and for so many that have been here, missing those experiences and wishing they could go back to the way it was a week or two ago, whereas the people that have never been here thinking, well, gee, did I really miss out? And unfortunately, you kind of did. It was a beautiful spot. It's not all gone, though. About a third has burned, 2/3 are still left behind, and everyone we've heard from so far certainly intends to rebuild. The question is just how long. The hotels will come back, the houses will come back, the shops that are gone will come back. They may be different, but they will come back, and Jasper will again be here. There's a long history of fires in the area, certainly not like we've seen, where a whole town burns down, but if you go back hundreds of years, forests burn. It's a thing that happens. It's just this time it got so out of control that humans couldn't stop it. They say the flames, when they came into Jasper, 300 and 400 feet high. Well, it's no wonder it was trouble. Look at the flowers. A lot of this was going to be a tour of some of these flowers and then some views of the streets. We're going to hop across the street here, do a little bit more. So this is Baxter's Souvenirs and Gifts. And again, I think this piece of the main drag still exists. There's been a couple losses along here, but from what I can tell of the map, I believe we're looking at stuff that's still here. Certainly in the comments, you'll see people correct me if I happen to be wrong on that. A lot of what we did in Jasper was film some trains. There's a couple episodes already on the channel about Jasper. One shows the railway station in the 2016. Another one shows train watching in Jasper. So according to the map, that area where we were train watching in that one video, it wasn't really a structure there. It was a park, but that looks like it was damaged by fire. I assume that means that basically all the trees and grass burned there. There wasn't really much of an actual building per se. The rail line's running again already, so there wouldn't have been much damage to it. It's just more the buildings, some bridges as well, and some other things that have not gone so well in Jasper. I know I said it's less commercialized than Banff, and it really is, but there are a lot of stores. We're walking through that commercial area here as you see all those things, but pretty much anywhere you are in Jasper, you always see the mountains too. And just across the street here, you can see there's kind of a parking lot over there. That's where we were parked. That's where you find the railway station. Lots of outdoor patios here. This was still the tail end of COVID, you have to remember, right? So they were keeping a lot of people outside. I haven't been back to Jasper to see if they kept all these outdoor patios, but it was beautiful how they had them set up, because you'd walk through them and you'd actually feel like you're in the restaurant for just a moment as you went through, and then carry on along. There's a subway. If you're new to national parks in Canada, you wonder, why does the subway look like that? Well, there's a lot of rules about how these places look. So a lot of the logos for places you might normally recognize look a little different here. It's all that more rustic look, more that wood grain look, and certainly you'll see like a McDonald's logo, but it'll be pretty subdued and calm. I'm thinking of the McDonald's in Banff, and it's, doesn't look like a McDonald's at all, and yet there it is. There's the bike rentals if you want to take a bike around Jasper. We're going to jump across the street here. We're kind of heading back to where we parked, because it's getting to be time for us to go. It's already, late in the afternoon as we're filming this, and we still have to make all the way to Banff, which is kind of why we were in that hurry to get going. One of the guys I know that was in Jasper just a couple weeks before the fire was really upset. He only had 2 or 3 pictures of his whole trip there. He took a couple pictures of his kid, and that was it. And he was saying, if I only had known, I would have taken a lot more pictures. And I think that's part of why we're just showing the raw video here. Obviously, this part we're going to explain how you can buy a ticket to park in this parking lot and park here. There's usually quite a bit of space here, but there are some further away parking lots. We're parked in this particular parking lot. And there's a couple neat shots coming here towards the end of just kind of pan the street to give you a view of Jasper and what it all looks like. Certainly our thoughts with the people who've had losses, not just the people in Jasper. It's horrible for them, but to the thousands and in fact millions of people who have visited this community. Certainly it's a huge loss to know that many of the memories you have are of places that maybe aren't there anymore, and it's going to be tough. I look forward to going back, though. I think it'll be better than ever. Here's that neat shot I wanted to show you, the mountains and the downtown all together. It just shows you how rustic the community is. That's maybe one of the best ways to remember Jasper, isn't it? The mountains and the beauty and the people. Anyway, that does it for this episode of Travels with Bill. We've got lots more to come on the channel. Hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and hey, hopefully we'll have much better news next time. I'm certainly getting sick of showing you places that we've been that have burned down. That's 3 now that we have film of. Oh well, hopefully 3rd time's the last one, and everything else we show you from now on is happy, good news. Catch you next time.